Welcome, Horst, to the L3 Leadership Podcast. This is such an honor to have you. And I didn't know it, but I didn't know it was going to happen ahead of time. But last week we had breakfast together, and I think I just mentioned to you, I took 10 pages of notes and was just blown away by everything that you shared. And really today, as I interview you, I just want to take people into that breakfast. So I have a ton of questions to ask, but thank you so much for being willing to do this.
Doug, I'm happy to be with you. Thank you.
So I just want to dive right in. One of the first things you said that I thought was so interesting, you said one of your number one goals has always been to establish a great name. Because you said if you could establish a great name, you could pretty much do whatever you want. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, well, let's be clear. I was not talking about my name. I was talking about the name of the organization where I'm working with. Because, well, it's all image. That's what it is. What opinion do people have about your name, about your company? And if they have, in that moment, and if you, like in our case, and in many cases, you have multi-location in a business. If it was Ritz-Carlton or later Capella Hotel Company, some people may say, what is that? Well, I after Ritz-Carlton, I formed another hotel company, which there's none of them in the US. There's Europe and Asia. And by the way, that company now is rated #1 hotel company in the world.
Wow.
Just to make a point here. So I want to, number one, if I have multi-locations, I want to be sure that when I have a good name, that name is a promise. Once you have that name, it promises you something. When you go in a Ritz-Carlton hotel, because of the image, you have a certain expectation, a certain promise. Now, in order to live up to that and build that name, you have to live up to your promise anywhere where you are. Otherwise, it's just a name. In that moment, your name becomes a brand. And that brand, otherwise, if it's not reliably the same, if you will, everywhere, relative to expectation, it doesn't, like in hotels, it doesn't have to be the same. One of the great compliments I got was one day somebody called me from Shanghai and said, Horst, the amazing thing, I just walked into your hotel and checked in. I knew that person. The design is totally different. It's a totally different hotel, but I knew immediately I was in Ritz-Carlton. And because we lived up to the general delivery of product and service promise that we make. So once there is a high expectation in the market about your name, means you have a brand, then of course people will look to deal with you because they know there is a high delivery, there is a high intent in that company for you. So yeah, creating a great name for your brand is essential. But here's more. Once I create that name, I am defining myself, and I create a good name, of course, not a bad name. Once I create a good name, I am defining my company as excellent. But in that moment, everybody in the company is also defined as excellent. So a great gift for the market to know who you are, but a great gift for every employee because they're all respected in that moment. They're defined by the name of the company. In fact, but in return, they define that name by being excellent. So it goes all together. It's a long story, I know, but it's so important. My goodness, I want to be sure anybody who enters our hotel leaves and has a high opinion about us, wants to come back and wants to recommend us, has a high opinion. In that moment, he has a high opinion about the company, about the employees, about the food that we serve, about me. Even though I was sitting in the office in Atlanta, now you have a good opinion about me.
Yeah.
There you are.
Yeah. Well, and I want to dive a little bit deeper into that. You wrote a book, which is a must read for leaders called Excellence Wins. So leaders, if you're listening to this and have not bought a copy of that, please get it, take your team through it. It's remarkable. But to establish a great name, really, that I would assume that starts with vision. Because how many hotels are in the world? What advice do you have for leaders when it comes to thinking through the name that they want to create for themselves before they can even execute on that image?
Well, yeah, it's such a key element. Everybody talks about vision, and it seems to be not understood out there. I was just sitting with the university, first class campus, everything wonderful, and I said, "What's your vision?" Well, we are delivering the best service to our students and blah, blah. Wait a minute, that's not a vision. That's what you do. What's your vision? What's your vision? They couldn't come up with one. I mean, literally sit down with them for 3 hours and they could not come up with a vision.
Wow.
Well, if I don't, here we talk about leadership, that goes together. Leadership implies I'm leading somebody to some place. Well, that is the vision that you have. That's where I lead you to. But there's so many leaders who don't have a vision, so they're leading somebody to somewhere where they don't know where they're going. Oh, wait a minute. I mean, the first thing you do if you have a company or start a company is say, who do I want to be in 10 years from now? Not what the rest of them, what that university told me. We are making sure that the students are connected, that the students are... Okay, fine. That's what you do. Where will it take you? Who do you want to be? And I recommended to that university, for example, why don't you say within 10 years we'll be known as the foremost number one mid-sized university in the United States? And guess what they told me? That would be too arrogant. Wait a minute. In other words, you want average for your students. Don't you want to say, I'm going to do the very best for my students in 10 years? No, they didn't want to. They found it was arrogant. Well, your vision should be a dream. Should be not something that you know you can do. It's something you aspire to do. Now, as a leader, you have to make sure your vision is good for all concerned. Your vision is, you have to really seriously question yourself, is my vision... Now, let me give you an example. When I created Capella, if you will, or Ritz-Carlton, the vision was, we will be number one in the world. The next thing I have to question myself, is that really good for the investors? Because, on the end, without investors, you don't have anything. You don't have a business. People have to understand that. So is it good for the investors, my vision? The next thing I have to ask, is it good for every single employee? The next thing I have to ask as a leader, is it good for every customer, every guest in our case? Next thing I have to ask myself, is it good for society as a whole? Now, I personally, and that is only a personal statement now, then you can all forget that if you're sensitive about personal statement. Okay, I had to ask myself after that, would God approve? Once the answer was yes in all points, and forget the God thing if you want to, okay? I'm not trying to push something on you. But once it was good on the 4 points, investor, employee, guest, and society, I had a destination. I had no choice, but I could not compromise anymore. Everything I had to do from now on was to accomplish that because it was good for all concerned. If I would compromise it, I would be going against every employee, every guest. I would go against society. And I now know where I will lead my people that are working with me. I know also now what for I hire people or select people, rather than selecting them, which everybody does. Hey, my goodness! And let's be honest with that. I talk to so many companies. Everybody does it. Why do you hire people for? To fulfill a certain function in your business. To me, that's immoral. To me, that's immoral. The chair on which you're sitting is fulfilling a function in your office too. You're hiring human beings now. I know Many people you hire are just like chairs, and they don't think, just fulfill a function. But you should be selecting people that are different, that want to join you. You should invite people to join your dream, your vision, and then show them how they will benefit greatly by accomplishing that vision. Because that's what you were thinking about when you establish it. Will it be good for all employees? Show them. Invite them to join you. Show them how it will be good for them. So they join a purpose. And guess what? Aristotle, 3,000 years ago, already said, as a human being, you cannot be fulfilled unless you have purpose and belonging.
Wow, so good.
So why wouldn't we offer that to employees? Join us for a purpose. Here's the purpose. We will be the best in the world. Here's how you will benefit from it. And I want you to join, be part of that. It's different than just offering a function. Come on, the computer fulfills function. You are dealing with human beings, period.
And I want to go this direction when you talk about dealing with human beings. When we were meeting, people were talking a lot about the Great Resignation. Companies can't seem to hire people. Companies can't seem to retain, great talent.
Wine. Okay.
Yeah, and everyone's whining. Can you speak to that in your viewpoint? Because I thought it was so good.
Well, I don't know what I said on that, but I tell you my opinion.
Yeah.
But to me, I would have not let the general manager tell me that. We can't find any people. I would not have let him do that. I mean, because this is just another poor excuse. What are you there for, leader? What are you there for? To find solutions. Look out of the window. There are a lot of people in the street. The problem is they don't want to work for you. Okay? Create an environment in which people want to work for your company. What they want to work for your company. And then invite them in for that. Don't let them just don't say, don't come to work here. Come to join me in a beautiful dream. And all those excuses that or here's the guy that quit. You touched on that too. The guy that quit, let's say Bill quit. And so what happened to Bill? Well, but he was not good. Whoa. Wait a second. He was not good and quit. And if he was not good, why did you hire him? Select people. Don't just hire them. Or maybe what's wrong? Maybe your hiring was wrong, or your orientation, which is a key element in a business, is orientation, or your work environment is not good, or you train them wrong. Now, you can't do anything about Bill anymore. He's gone. But you can still look at yourself and say, what did I do wrong relative to Bill? Why did I? Because he stole. Why did you hire a thief? Be more careful. Be very sophisticated in your selection, in your hiring of employees. It's not hiring, it's selecting. Number two, be sure that day one, you re-invite them. What happens day one at the job? It's a key issue. What happens day one at the job? The boss gives the rules and regulations. Okay, it's all about the company, rules and regulation. Here's the insurance, and here's this, and you can do that, but you can't do the other, and so on. And as I said, and forgive me, one maybe not bad word here. Then after we put them through the rules and regulation, we said, Bill, the new waiter, whatever he is, doesn't matter. Work with Fred over here, he knows the ropes. Same discussion everywhere. I mean, it is crazy. What kind of ropes do you make? I mean, and on the way into the kitchen, the old waiter who is there 9 months, who knows ropes for some reason, He's a waiter. Why he has to know ropes, I don't know. But he now tells Bill, the new waiter, this company sucks. That's his orientation. And we have expectations of them. It's ridiculous. The first and of course, you made a team speech. The team. Oh yeah, we're a team here. Oh yeah, team. Without giving, again, how can you be a team without having an objective common? Because a team, the very definition of a team is we are working, we are together for a common goal, for a common objective. And that should be the vision of the company, that objective. And then, of course, it's no different in the boards. And then we teach all kinds of things. Then all we do is look for money instead of looking for that which makes money.
You were talking about orientation. Can you talk about, I think you said you opened 50 different hotels, and you specifically, individually, you did all of the orientations because you wanted to come in and share that. I actually went back. I was so fired up from that. I told our HR director, I'm like, hey, RED has got to be in every orientation, sharing vision, sharing the dream. Can you talk about how you see orientation going well?
We have to be aware of something here. Much of what you want from any employee is the right behavior. Being nice to people, being nice to each other, coming in time. Those are behavioral elements. However, behavior cannot be taught after you're 16 years old. It is set in you. You learn it for the first 3 years from your parents, after from role models around you, Dennis Rodman and so on, role models. And okay, sorry, forgive me. But role models, and who knows, maybe good ones, maybe bad ones. And after that, an impact from other kids around you and so on and so on. All right. So with 16, you're set. It cannot be taught except when there is a significant emotional event in a person's life. You can impact behavior. In the first 2 days of work is a significant emotional event. So why would I talk about rules then? Why don't I talk about respecting each other? Here's what our guests expect from us, that we are friendly with them. Here's what it means being friendly, and etc., being helpful. And all those things should be discussed and explain and invite again the first day of work to be part. And here's who we are, what it means to be part. And in fact, once you start working with us, that's who you are. And have these discussions the first day, rather than rules and regulation and turning it on and teaching ropes.
Yeah.
It's also silly. I don't get it. And so into the first 2 days and the third day, we taught the 20 key elements that will make us number one in the world. All I had to look is it's all very simple. Okay, I'm a hotel. How am I going to be superior as a hotel to anybody else in any other hotel? Well, I'm going superior if the guest thinks I'm superior. Well, what does the guest expect from me? Once I elevate and study, not my opinion, the guest's opinion, or not your mother-in-law's opinion, the guest's opinion. Once I know the guest's opinion, here it is. Here's the whole management leadership thing. Here's the market. Here's their opinion, what they ideally want from a hotel or from your product, if you will. It doesn't matter what it is. For my hotel, in my case, okay? So once I know that, I make sure I'm going to align my employees, let them know that. And so I identified 20 things that were key, that had to do with the guest expectation, with safety in a hotel and so on. If I do this better than anybody, I'll be best in the world. So we created processes behind each one. So now, once I know that, I have to make sure my employees know what the customer wants. And then, of course, management, here comes one. Be careful. Management now creates processes, system, measurements, controls to make sure it actually happens. That's management. Leadership, though, is different. Leadership now creates an environment in which the employee wants to do it, not have to do it. They want to do it because they know it's of value to them. Back because it gets us to be number one in the world, which is of great value to you because you will have better guests, more opportunities, everything. You will have respect, honor, everything you have. You will be identified as one of the greatest in the world in our business. So let's do that together, and let's have fun doing it.
And you said, I believe you said, every single day in every hotel, managers are training on one of those 20 characteristics. So you could pick out.
Well, you asked a question. So I went to every hotel openings or takeover. The first 50 or so Ritz-Carlton hotels, I opened. I talked to the employees during orientation, first day. Here's who we are. Join me. Let's have fun to create a fun. And here's how we all benefit from that. Here's how we can be proud here. By the way, it's here we define ourselves as people of excellence. You can't do it at home when you watch TV, but we can do it together here. And I'm offering that. I'm offering you purpose to come to work, not just a job. Come on, let's do this together. And then I stayed with them for a couple of weeks to help training the various departments about the service and about their function. Sure. And now we have those 20 things which we taught us the third day of orientation. After that, we sustain it. We sustain by reminding them every day of one of the 20 principles. And there's some very simple things in there. Take number 12, which may be discussed today, mind you, before every shift in every hotel around the world. That's how it used to be. I don't know what's today. Today is number 12, hypothetically. Number 12 is if somebody asks for direction, don't point, take them there. Now, that's what's written. Now, what we teach them then, but while you take them there, create relationship. And here's how you do that. You say, are you a guest in the house? If the answer is yes or no, doesn't matter. The next thing you say, oh, if he's in a house, you said, I hope you have a wonderful stay with us. And did you have a chance to try the restaurant? Because everybody seems to love it. So we have conversation, we create a relationship. While I'm telling you, now here is your meeting room, sir. And all of a sudden the guest says, wow, I never experienced this. So little things we taught that we know we made impact in the mind of the guest and in the subconscious of the guest saying, we care for you. There's a huge study being made very recently that the market as a whole, 70% of the market, everybody better hear this one, because if you don't get that one, I feel sorry for you. The market, 70% of the market says, if you care for me, I will buy your product. I'll be loyal to you, even if I knew that I could buy the same thing next door for less. Oh, you must be kidding me. Yes, and guess what? 80% of the millennials say so. Now, if I know you will buy my product, even if I charge more, you will want to buy my product, then I better care for you. Then I better show you that I care for you. And that's called service. And who gives that? People. Not I in my office, but employees whom I have selected to do so, who have invited to want to do it because it makes us the best in the world for their benefit.
Yeah, you mentioned the 20 characteristics that will make you great. And you talked about how you got the customer opinion. I believe, I don't know if someone said this about you or if you said this, but I believe you spent more money on surveys than all the other hotels combined. Can you talk about?
In one certain years.
Okay.
That's when I started Capella. After Ritz-Carlton, I spent a lot of money to study what the upper level of the Ritz-Carlton does, because I was creating an ultra luxury company, Capella. Capella is ultra luxury. It's not luxury like Ritz-Carlton or Four Seasons. It's ultra luxury. So I want to really know what they think, what they feel, and so on, what they don't like, what they don't like, what is commonality in the market segment, so I could create processes in this new segment, Capella, in ultra luxury.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit more just about the importance of surveys for leaders and organizations? Because you also did this with your staff, I believe, right?
Well, as I said, you want to know what is the market's expectation ideally from your product. Then create processes to be sure you deliver that and deliver it better than anybody else, period. So without service, you don't know. Without service, you invariably come up with something that the customer doesn't even like, because you like it, but not the customer. I did that. In my book, I tell the story about the locks. When I started first Ritz-Carlton, I was all excited. There was this new way of opening doors with a plastic key. Until that time, you had hard keys. I was all excited about it because that was a safety thing. That was great. You didn't have to carry the heavy key. And blah, blah. So we put it in to the new hotel, our first Ritz-Carlton. And guess what? The guest came and said, "Plastic thing in a luxury hotel? You must be kidding me." There were so many comments about it that we actually changed the locks.
Wow.
We didn't listen to the market. I listened to me.
Huh.
Guess what we had to do 3 years later? He said, "Hard key? That's dangerous." We had to change the locks again. You have to listen to the market. Listen careful. Make studies. Listen what they like. Listen what they don't like. And create processes around what their expectation is, or to avoid the mistakes that you make in their mind. It's not about you. It's not about your mother-in-law. It's about the customer.
Yeah, I want to go a little bit of a different direction now and have a few fun stories. One, you get credit a lot for Chick-fil-A saying "my pleasure." Yeah. Can you? I love this story. Can you share the story of how you got them to do that?
Dan, who is a dear first-class gentleman and a good friend, Dan Cathy, the son of Truett Carter. Truett Carter was, of course, the creator of Chick-fil-A. And it so happened, Dan tells the story slightly different than I do. I know, I listen in Spain. I told 1,000 times you're wrong. I know exactly what happened. We run actually a race together, the Peachtree race here in London. Afterwards, Dan said, "Have you been in a Chick-fil-A?" At that time, mind you, that's 30 years ago. And he says 20 years. It was 30 years ago. And they were here in Atlanta. I said, "Sure, I've been in Chick-fil-A." He said, "What do you think?" I said, "But to be honest, you're the best of a lousy lot." Oh, what do you mean? What do you mean? So maybe then let me start talking what it should be done different, in my opinion, mind you. And then he invited me to work with them and deal with his management and so on. So we had a meeting following, after several meetings and so on, in the headquarters, and he had all his key staff there. And I said, "Okay, now the first thing is 3 things. When you walk in, first of all, people don't come to a restaurant because of good food. They don't come back to a restaurant because of food. They come back because they felt good, which includes the food. And it's just like any other business." So I told them that. And then, of course, the relationship with whoever serves you. Try not to say hi. We don't say hi in Ritz-Carlton. We say welcome. Because if I say hi, I'm saying we're equal. If I say good morning, ma'am, I'm saying I respect you. But at the same time, I'm saying I'm professional. So we talked about those words and finally came to the word. And I said, and for goodness sake, don't say okay. No problem. No problem. Okay, don't say. We say in Ritz-Carlton, we say my pleasure. Now, I really don't, that you should not use that. Your market segment, it's too fancy stuff for your market. And you should say something. And we talked, so the group was talking, what are we going to say? I'm happy to, or certainly, or what are we going to say? And in the background was Truett Cathy, the father. All of a sudden, he raised his finger and said, I like my pleasure. And I said to him, yeah, but you shouldn't use it. I like it too, but you shouldn't use it because it's too fancy. He said, I like it. That was the end of it. And so he now pushed my pleasure the next 10 years nonstop. And everybody says my pleasure, and everybody thinks I did it. I said, well, not to use it.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that story, and thank you for the legacy. I love Chick-fil-A, and obviously they're famous for that. A few other personal questions. Someone asked you at our breakfast, what accomplishment you're most proud of in your life. You've obviously accomplished a lot, and I loved your answer if you remember it. But could you just share what you're most proud of in your life?
Well, the way I feel, and maybe I felt a little bit different that time, is simply, and I think every manager leader should think about that. You have people working with you, and one of the greatest honors that you have is to try and positively impact their life. Simple as that. And the one thing I did, and that's what I'm thinking about now, and I may have, I'm proud of the Baldrige. I'm proud of being number one. I'm proud my name is on a hotel school in Auburn. I'm proud. Yeah, sure, you have some prides and so on. But the deeper fulfilling pride, in fact, was, and I have to explain that, in every opening they had, I spent the night before the opening, before the orientation with all the staff. I had managers there from many hotels to help me training, and all the manager of the new hotel, I had a 3-hour to 4-hour leadership session with them. What is leadership? And I had about 10 flip charts behind me and discussed it all. And then, of course, we had orientation. Then I had training. And then after 10, 15 days, I flew back to Atlanta, our headquarters, and my home. And on the way back, I always prayed that at least one person understood what I actually tried to say. I was so much hoping they heard the words. Did they get it? Did they intellectualize it? Did they put it in their heart? And one person gets and is successful. Well, here's a story. I opened Bali, and I did that too. The same thing. And then I left Ritz-Carlton. 15 or 20 years later, I took the owner, in the meantime, eliminated, mind you, we don't own hotels. We manage hotels. All hotel brands do that. The owner eliminated Ritz-Carlton as a management company and called me if I would manage now that hotel with my new brand with Capella. And I certainly did that. So I went there to take that hotel over again. And we had a big reception. People from the island, hospitality people, political people, and so on, leaders. And all of a sudden, a young man came to me and said, Mr. Schulze, can I talk to you for a minute? I said, sure. He said, when you were training here and orienting the new employees for Ritz-Carlton 20 years ago, I was a banquet server. I was staying in the back when you were teaching the managers and listening. And when you were teaching, and when you left the room, I took the flip charts. And I listened very careful. I know everything you said. I have everything with me too. And I want to thank you for it, because I get all my thinking at work around it. And I'm now general manager in a hotel in Ubud.
Wow.
And I have to say, and I said, thank you, God, that my prayer is answered. There is one that truly got this young man. Oh, I can tell the story about Ibi the dishwasher. I tell him a book who got it, who came in as a refugee from Nairobi as a dishwasher. and is now a general manager in a hotel, and so on. I can tell many stories like that. But this hit me so deeply. This young Balinese boy, who now was a young man, who now was a general manager, actually 20 years later thanked me, and he said, I still have it. I still got it. You know?
Wow.
Very fulfilling. And I don't know if that was my answer at the time, but that is kind of the more deeper satisfaction that you know. Well, look here, there's about 30 hotel companies now managed by people who used to work with me. Yes, but there is this young man who came from very, very, very poor circumstances in the village of Bali, who understood, who got it, who took it in. I truly thank God afterwards.
Yeah, Horst, you know, I love that you see your greatest accomplishments of impacting people. I think a lot of people, especially when they're young, they look to money to measure success. And this is an assumption. I certainly haven't done any research, but I'm assuming you've done okay financially. I'm just curious, what advice do you have, or what do you think about money? That's it.
Look, if you create excellence, it's not different than all the boards. You sit on board of directors, and what do we talk about? Essentially, the whole discussion is money. The whole discussion is money, not a loan, and legal stuff and so on. It's hardly ever that we talk about what makes money. Instead of concentrating on what makes money, that is the service to others, the caring for others, your product, they're doing things right. That makes money. You know, your excellence, I try to get that across to people. Concentrate on excellence. And excellence is not an accident. It's always the result of high intent. What is your high intent in relative to what you're doing today? The high intent for us as a hotel is not to create a room, sell a room, and for as much money as possible, and occupy as many rooms as possible. Our high intent is to make people feel well when they come to the hotel, to instill well-being. See, if I accomplish that, I will cover my rooms, and knowing full well, if they feel that, they're willing to pay more. So it has to be high intent, and you make money. And as an individual, that is true for you as an individual. I had this incident. I dealt with it in one of the, during the opening. You get this here, get this. I had all the bellman, doorman, and so on together. They're usually very interested in money because they live on tips. Okay, and everyone said that it's always interesting. The bellman, doorman, and so on from the side. I was teaching and try to establish a vision for them. And I said, well, who do you want to be as a department in 6 months from now? And they said, we want to be the best. So I turned around on a flip chart to write down the best. And I said, this is why you should come to work. And somebody behind me screamed, I come to work for money. What a sad thing. And I turned around and said, now, and think about it. Now, here's what I told them. Besides making a negative comment about whoever it was, I won't repeat that. But I said, look here, who will make more money? The one that comes work on the end to come to work for excellence, or the one that came in for money? Come on, the answer is simple. So that is the narrow thinking that we have so much today. Create excellence in what you're doing. Don't just do it. Question it. And in fact, if you don't mind me saying that. Excellent. Here's the thing. Anything, even this little clip down here, anything is excellent if it works well for what it has been created. What about a human being? A human being of excellence does their very best in their functioning. Now, their very best. I'm not saying perfect because we're not, none of us. Does their very best in their functioning. Also does their very best in their relationship, which creates service, by the way. Relationship, behavior. also does their very best morally and ethically. Hopefully also do your very best spiritually. If you do your very best in those areas, and then question yourself every so often, how could I do better in my functioning, in my relationship? That means I'm improving. And if I do that, I will be a human being of excellence. And I guarantee you, if I do my function better and better and better, I sooner or later I will make more money than the guy that just came in for money. I guarantee it.
Yeah, and talking about...
You will be more fulfilled in life.
Absolutely. And talking...
What a poor soul that is a person who thinks that way. Gosh, yeah. I feel sorry for you to go to work for money. Go to work for excellence. Have a higher intent. Have a higher intent what you do. What is your high intent in what you're doing today? Think higher. You are a human being. You're not a chair.
That's so good. And I am curious. I believe you're not a high school dropout. I believe you said you're an elementary school dropout, which I think a lot of people would be surprised to know. And obviously, from going from elementary school dropout to doing what you've done, what advice do you have for people to find their intention or find their purpose in life?
Well, I gave it. Have a high intent. Have a high vision. You lead yourself. Be a leader of yourself. What is leadership? Let's discuss that for a moment.
Sure.
It starts with a high vision. You're not a leader unless you have a high vision. You're not a leader of yourself unless you have a vision for yourself of excellence. Number two, after that, you have to commit yourself to it. It shouldn't be a pipe dream. Others, it's nothing but a pipe. Number three, identify what gets you to that vision and then implement it. Number four, keep a focus on it and not come up with lousy excuses like I can't hire any people. Nothing but an excuse. You give up the right for excuses, by the way, the moment you're a manager. You're supposed to find answers and not excuses. So if you follow that vision, commitment, initiation, and focus, you have to find the inner fortitude to keep on focusing on it and not find an excuse which makes you feel good for a moment. Oh, yeah, it makes you feel good for a moment, the excuse. After all, everybody does it. No, so what? What are you going to buy for that? Huh? It's all up there. So I was committed. I kept on focused but now mind you, I left when I was 14 and started working. Now, I took many courses after that because I knew I had to do it. I kept on focused on how do I get on here. I took nearly every Cornell hospitality course, etc., etc. I went to Sorbonne. It doesn't matter. But I dropped out. I never went to high school. Now, it's a typical German thing that I went to hotel school once a week after elementary school. But nevertheless, that's true.
Wow. Last question before a few lightning round questions. You've also had a successful marriage, and you've raised some wonderful children who are all doing well, is what you said. What advice do you have, first and foremost, for those of us who are married for marriage?
Well, listen, that would be the most important answer you hear today. So I hope your people, those that are listening, listen. The most important, you will have relationships and in your life. There are unions in your life at work, in clubs. You may belong to a tennis club, and soccer clubs, and everything, all the things. There's nothing more important than this lifelong decision of marriage. But again, I said decision. You see, your destiny has nothing to do with luck again. It's the decisions that you make, your high intent decisions that create your destiny. Before you get married, make the decision that this marriage, make the decision, think about it carefully. This marriage will be lasting forever. I made the decision, I will be in love for the rest of my life. That was a decision. Now, After that, what do I have to do? I have to implement the steps that gets you there. I can't just hope for it. Hope is no strategy. Hope is nothing. You now have to do something. You now have to question yourself, how can I make this most important institution in this life an exceptional one? I have to work in my mind about it. Look here, where I live, I'm in my house right now, in my office in my house. There's a gate over there when I drive in. When I drive in, every time I stop for a moment, so the gate opens, I say, thank you, God, for my wonderful wife. Wait, wow. Hold her in my arm. He said, I have to work on my objective, on my vision. I can't hope for it. And once in a while, and here it comes, guys. Now, be very careful. Here it comes. Oh my gosh, now. Oh, macho man. Okay, all you macho men, listen for a moment. Once in a while, sit down with your wife and have a good moment. Have a glass of wine. I'm not Baptist, that's why we have have a glass of wine once in a while, or whatever. And you're sitting happy together, and then say to her, darling, let me ask you something. How can I be a better husband? Wait a minute. That's called continuous improvement. Don't you continuously try to improve your business? See how you could do it better. Listen to the market. In this case, between you and me, your wife is your market. And just find out what's important to her. Do it. In that moment, you just improved your life. But this is so. Marriage is such a sensational thing. If you make it that, if you hope for it, it's just great. Maybe you're not going to have it. You have to make it. Like everything else. Only guys, this is the most important thing. And some of us, come on, how much effort do we put at work? I mean, some of us, crazy. Why don't we put some effort in the most important thing in our life? That's our wives. Hey, guys, it's not your children. It's your wife who is the most important. The children follow, but it's your wife. It's your life, and this will fulfill you, Dan. That's where fulfillment is, and that's where happiness lies. And unfortunately, in our society, we don't even know what happiness is. And I talk about people about happiness. They think it's pleasure. Pleasure is no happiness. Fulfillment, contentness in your life, together with a fantastic partner, that is happiness. And you find it at work to an extent because you find fulfillment and so on. So sorry, my lecture. Hey, macho people, that will be so tough for you to say that. How can I be a better husband? Why would that be so difficult? Come on.
So good. Thank you for sharing that advice. This will be the last question, and then I'll just leave it open-ended for you. But we do have a lot of ministry leaders and church leaders listening to this, and I just thought you had a compelling challenge to the church. What advice do you have for church leaders and ministry leaders in today's world? What do they need to hear?
Well, it's all connected. You go in and they have this people that say hello and so on, but you on the same time the congregation is distanced. They shut down on Sundays. They're not connected and so on. Yeah, the one thing we must understand in all we are as people, and go back to the Aristotle finding. Incidentally, it's not only Aristotle. So many philosophers afterwards wrote about that people need to belong in purpose. The belonging piece is absolutely essential. You have to give them not a lecture in church, but a sense of belonging. And that sense of belonging is essential. And if you don't mind, if you actually have pastor and son listening, allow me to tell you something. I come from a society, Germany, in all of Europe, where there are beautiful, beautiful old churches. There's a problem. They're empty. There's a real problem. They're empty. I can tell you why they're empty. Trust me, I really know why they're empty. the church constantly was looking how to get closer to the people. Closer to the people. In the process, they left God behind. Now they're offering all kinds of things to the people. After all, the people, that's how the people think now. That's how the people think. That's what they want. So let's do it. Even in the meantime, we rip one page out of the Bible. We rip a page out because people don't like that page. People don't like that page. So why don't we rip it out? And it seems to understand something else. Let's take that one out too. And pretty soon, I have nothing to offer anymore. And you, pastors, has ripped so many pages out. It's unbelievable. I mean, I have nothing. What do you have to offer me? I can, nothing. God is much bigger than that. He offers something exceptional. He offers what this God offers us. When I turned 80, first I was shocked, okay, in the morning. I'm 80, oh my God. I'm 80, oh my God, as if it was something totally new. It was coming quite a while. But then all of a sudden I said, wait a minute. I made it further than many people make it. So this is blessed. This is a moment to celebrate here. I don't know if you guys make it to 80. You guys here there. I'm looking at you. I don't know. You're lucky if you make it.
Yeah. And
there you are. And I said, wow. And now I can celebrate every single day from now on. Less and less people have made it there. I'm becoming a master more and more. And then I said, and then suddenly I looked back at my life. And I saw so many stupid things that I did. And I wanted to take something to flog myself for the stupidity of the past. And then I came to a realization. If I would have followed the word of God 100%, I wouldn't have those regrets.
Wow.
I wouldn't have him. Wow. That's the offer that he's giving us. That kingdom on earth. By following him, not listen to what tickles our ears. You know where that is. Where that is written. Not what tickles our ears, but what is right, what is true. The truth will set you free. That's where the truth sets you free. And the truth is not part of the truth. No, the whole truth. And so. Pastor, sorry that I try to be an expert in what you're doing now, but that's just what I feel.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing, Horst. And as we close, is there anything else you want to leave leaders with today?
Well, again, make a decision for high intent. Become the human. Don't put yourself on the level of a thing that functions without high intent. Be a human being and have high intent, and keep always in mind your fellow human being. And the greatest honor that you have is to positively impact the life of those around you. What an honor. Good luck.
Thank you so much. This has been a wonderful interview, and thank you for adding value to me and everyone who will listen to this.